I woke up very unhappy. Dude, I'm very scared. I was scared. I did not have fun watching the movie. I'm just like panicked, goosebumps, scared. I want to leave. I think in terms of scared, I was very scared. I'm scared.
All right, welcome back, my spectacular specks of spook. We're back with the 8th ever episode of 2 Men and a Baby, the less than an hour-ish we're shooting for horror show.
Under an hour. We're keeping it under an hour. 59.9999.
We really like to remind people how long these things are before we start recording. What does it matter? Let's just get this
we keep
thing
it under an
done
hour.
so
I think that's important.
Get out of here.
I think it's important.
So, yeah, 2 Men and a Baby, the less than 1 hour-ish horror show where 3 best friends discuss a new horror movie each episode. As I usually am, I'm joined this time in the wrong order because Brendan wanted to be in the middle. But to my left and also to my left, Brendan Fletcher.
Poppin'.
Abby Krinsky.
Slightly less poppin'.
I'm William Dubbs, and this time we're going to be discussing In a Violent Nature, 2024, very recent horror film. Lots of buzz, lots of interesting stuff. I think at least Abby and I have not been more excited to talk about a movie before this one.
Don't fucking talk for me ever.
I'm probably as excited as I've ever been
in
to
life.
talk about a movie.
In life.
And I want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
For those of you, I know you guys watched this movie a couple days ago. I'm actually coming straight hot off the press from AMC 16, Clifton Commons. And 4:30 showing. Fandango sent my tickets to the wrong email address. I was on the phone.
That's not
and
your
almost
fault at
missed
all,
it.
I'm sure.
It was my fault. It was I put the wrong email address in, and so yeah, almost missed the movie. But just turns out missed the previews. So everything worked out.
Strong contrast. Abby and I saw the movie on Friday at the Alamo. We have several pages of notes taken on the menu cards.
Dude,
the cards.
I don't know if you knew this. Alamo, they serve food, and they got free notepads that are supposed to be for placing orders on.
There's also a little
And you'll always remember it.
bat signal.
Wow, that's a Davy Crockett ref right there,
Crocs.
baby. The raccoon hat senator that also supported slavery. Will, keep us going about Alamo.
But yeah, so we've had some time to stew. Brendan, no marination. It should present an interesting dynamic to this conversation.
And a quick note about Alamo Drafthouse 2. Just got to give a quick shout out to that churro popcorn. That shit goes off.
I will say that what was great was there was this guy to our right who clearly the more he drank, the more vocal, flamboyant, and funny he got. At first he was really annoying, but by the end he kind of said...
I think we might have just followed your journey, actually, of accepting him.
Yeah,
you're like, you're sober, you're like, I fucking hate him. 3 Tito's in, you're like, I want to make out with this
Also,
guy.
were you just having an out-of-body experience and you're just describing yourself?
No, this guy was very much like doing the classic, like, don't go in the house, what are you doing?
Yeah, I
And-
totally
no.
missed the point.
No.
I literally have that written down. He goes, walk the other way.
Oh my God, I hate
And-
that. I don't care if it's the funniest thing in the world. I can't
No,
stand
but
it.
then by the end,
thought
he
it
was
was
like,
funny.
that guy literally wanted to die, and the whole crowd, like, kind of laughed. So, Brennan, hit your jingle, dude.
Theme song.
2 men and a baby, oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.
All right, yeah. So the way we kick things off is usually each one of us gives our synopsis of the film in one sentence and one sentence only, and then we read the actual synopsis for contrast, but also for anybody listening that doesn't know what the movie's about, they get an idea. Abby, you want to go first?
I'll go first, because I totally wrote this before, and I am not going to make it up as we go. Friday the 13th called, and their camera is now behind the guy.
Beautiful.
That's about the summary of
that's
the movie
accurate.
that I took.
All right, I went the specific route and just pretty much on the drive here was just like, let me just basically summarize the movie.
Well, Brendan's applying for a job as a synopsis writer, so you got to play it down the middle,
Yeah,
safe.
this was down the middle.
Synoptologist.
After a band of college kids looking to camp for the weekend find a necklace in an abandoned fire tower, Johnny, a zombie-like killer, goes on a murderous rampage in search of his mother's lost heirloom.
Be honest, did you check Rotten Tomatoes before you saw it?
No, the synopsis?
No, well, the website in general for
The
the film.
website,
Have
Rotten
you ever
Tomatoes?
been to the website?
All right, yes. Mine is, here's Johnny. A lot.
The killer's
that
name
was
is
good.
Johnny, if you didn't get that. It's also
Yeah.
a Shining reference. It's also what we like in the biz to call a mid synopsis.
That was multifaceted, dude.
Yeah,
I'm telling you that, like the movie, symbolism, minimalist. Let's get it cracking.
Symbolism,
All right.
minimalist. I come
Symbolism,
to
minimalism.
So the other reason I
Schindler's
asked you
List.
about Rotten Tomatoes is because shit is like almost identical. When a locket is removed from a collapsed fire tower in the woods and entombs the rotting corpse of Johnny, a vengeful spirit spurred on by horrific 6-year-old crime, his body is resurrected and becomes hellbent on retrieving it.
Wow,
The
mine
undead-
was close. Sorry. Oh, it keeps going? Sorry, my fault.
Unfortunately.
That's really long.
The undead golem hones in on the group of vacationing teens responsible for the theft and proceeds to methodically slaughter them one by one in his mission to get it back, along with anyone in his way.
Okay.
I kind of appreciate the objective description. It doesn't give away the
So
whole,
Daddy was close. Daddy was close.
the whole kind of shtick or gimmick of the movie.
But the preview gives it away. Every shot
No,
in
I know,
it gives
but
it away.
I'm saying it's some synopsises are like in this breathtaking interpretation of
Right.
and it's like
Yeah.
all right, don't. So from here we just give our initial thoughts and we tell you if we think you should see the movie.
Trash.
Been
He got ahead of me.
I've been waiting 3 days for that.
Garbage fire. Done. Hated it.
Poo-poo.
Let's button this thing up and let me get on a road.
One of the first things me and Will said when it ended was like, well, we're not going to tell each other what we thought, but we both know Brendan's going to fucking hate this movie. That was
I'm
easy.
so excited to hear how much you didn't like it.
Okay, well, I'll be honest. That was sort of a joke. There were parts that I did like, but there were some major things I took issue with, and there were some parts that I literally just was like, I'm laughing at this movie, dude.
Do you know that you're supposed to laugh?
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, totally. I get it.
At it, not with it, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But there was I was like almost cracking up at a part, but then at the we'll talk about it.
Spoiler
How was your
Yeah.
theater? Were the people in there good?
So I get into the theater, as I
Late?
said, a little late, and I'm sweating because I'm running, right?
you're
And I'm
wearing a fire mask and dragging a logging kit.
driving
Yeah.
an axe behind me.
Yeah.
And I go through a lake and I pop out the other side, and then I get into the movie theater, and so I sit down. There's no one in the movie theater, right?
Literally.
There's no one. There's one person like way back. And I never understood that empty movie theater. Who are the people that
Way
go in the
back.
last row? Who are those people?
Masturbators.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Pee-wee
anyway,
Herman over
Pee-wees,
there.
yeah.
R.I.P.
so I
Herms.
sit down
Herm
and
Edwards.
I'm like, oh, nice. Last preview is finishing up. Movie starting. This couple comes in, sits right behind me, and they're whispering, dude. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe this. Wait, this is great. Wait, what? I don't understand this part. And I'm just like, and at first I'm like, okay, maybe they're just doing it for like the opening credits, whatever. It's going to end eventually. And then 5 minutes in, I was like, but I don't really get this part because like, why is he even doing that? I mean, it doesn't even make sense. And now I'm just like, I do that one thing where you kind of half turn towards them.
Oh, yeah, give
out
them
of
that
give
little-
them a little
yeah.
corner of your eye look, and then you do a hard adjust where you're like,
Yeah.
you kind of you're vocalizing your displeasure in a way that seems like you're not necessarily mad at them, but you're just like uncomfortable. They keep. Sorry, I can't believe it. They can't even get popcorn. What the fuck is popcorn's delicious?
I feel like they manifest destinied their opinion of the movie. Like they supplanted it.
Yeah. Yes.
You couldn't like it, if
dude. And so this is what I
I mean,
pulled
the
the
theater's
final
empty.
straw.
Did you just get up and move to?
So
That's
I
too-
was
makes too much
thinking.
sense.
No, well, hold on. I was thinking. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna say,
Hey, I've been dying to
excuse
meet
me,
you.
can you please just put it down a little bit? No, I was gonna say, hey guys, can you just stop talking, please? But instead, I did a hard get up. I did a get up so bad that chair, that collapsible chair, went whoop,
Flying up
and it was
like a
loud.
fucking diving board. With,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was super loud, and you could, and I heard the girl. She's like, she gasped, and I did a hard walk, two rows in front of me, sat down, not a peep out of them.
beautiful.
Rest of the movie.
Wow.
Badass.
So, because I was going to say, the reason
That's why
I
he gets
asked,
to sit in the middle this week.
Yeah, you earned it. You earned it.
Thank you,
I would have turned around and been like, this is a no talking zone.
Yeah.
Hit him with the dial.
Yeah.
What's the George Costanza thing where he says he's like,
We live in a society?
no, in the
'cause
movie
I
theater
definitely
where he's
wanna yell
like,
that.
I forget. Oh wow, why did I even bring it up? Anyway,
But the reason I asked is because we had a very, very different experience with, it was packed. It was a small theater, but it was packed. And I got to say, like, this movie gets, I'll go into my initial thoughts. this movie gets bonus points for that experience because I also did not think it was a good movie, and I have a lot of problems with it, which we'll get into. But I kept going back to my favorite new F word. It was fun, and people had fun, and I had fun too. And so I can't pretend that I didn't. As much as my intellectual, sometimes your emotions and your intellect don't line up. I have so many problems with it, but at the end of the day, it was fun, and the people were having a fucking blast.
It was,
and especially being new to horror movies, period, in theaters. Now I want to see a better one that has that gore.
Yeah,
I always think back to Get Up, which is very, very different.
Get Out.
Get Up. ESPN with Mike
the horror
Greenberg.
film of every morning of my life.
No, but you go to Get Out in theaters. That was a really game changing experience for me, and so this had some of that, and I thought that was cool. But overall, absolutely, I want to fight. So I'm really mad at the director because I was just saying this, now someone can't just do this idea again for a few years. He used it up, and it's a really cool change up idea to go from the POV of the killer.
Yeah.
And he just missed in so many ways, I thought, even though again it wasn't a full failure. I had fun, but he missed in so many ways that now we have to wait for another 5 years to try it again, and I'm mad about that.
Yeah, well, and we'll talk about. I made a note about the POV, from the killer. But I mean, there have been slasher movies that have used that, in some big scenes. But he definitely made it. He made
the
it
whole crux of it.
Yeah, the whole crux of the movie. But
but
to your point, real quick, I just want to say, I feel like if I was in an environment like that where people were just being unapologetically loud and laughing, I feel like there's no more perfect movie than a slasher.
Yeah,
like that.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I just think there was ways to encapsulate the fun intentionally without having other failures. But we'll get into those failures as we go. Sure. Will, what did you think?
No. I was just going to say about the movie theater thing. We're going to try our best to do the ones that we can in theaters.
Yeah.
That is something that you can't bottle up and bring home to the. We've done the screening rooms have been fun, but that's something. I think Evil Dead, the remake, I might have a higher opinion of the film than I should. I always tell people I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, you do.
But top 5, film experiences. It was opening night, Union Square, clearly packed with fans of the original, caught every little Easter egg. I disagree. I thought the guy did everything exactly I'm like the snob that instead of hating everything, I love everything, and you guys know I like the meta stuff, I like the Easter eggs. I have so many notes of how he nailed it in so many different ways. I'd also argue it's not necessarily the point of view of the slasher, the guy, more so the point of view of everything that you don't see in a slasher movie.
Yeah, I like that
part. Not just him.
Yeah, walking for hours.
And to be clear, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. Yeah.
I think that some of this stuff was really, really clever. It gets annoying because it's a gimmick and you have to stick to the gimmick.
I'm just always in those movies. I'm like, but I want to see more walking through the woods.
Yeah.
And I know the ending's going to be really divisive, but we'll talk about that in the spoiler room. I loved it. It was a Sundance selection, which is wild.
Sundance on these nuts, dude. Because it did something. Again, it did do something artistic, but that doesn't mean it's good.
No, I love, and most of the meta horror movies are specifically slasher horror, whether it's Cabin in the Woods or Scream. This does both of them in a totally different way. So yeah, clearly we want to talk about the details. So we'll save that for the spoiler room. Before we do that, though, this being a horror movie show, we want to tell people how scary the movie was. And with this being Two Men and a Baby, we have a human barometer with Abby, the infant himself. I don't think this one is going to probably be that scary. What do you think?
Spoiler alert, it was not. No, honestly, to be fair to the movie, that wasn't its intention. It wasn't supposed to be scary. It was definitely the least scary movie for me that we've seen so far. Literally, again, I did like that it did a lot of things. So my negative statements, I want those to be held with a grain of salt. But half of it I felt like I was playing Zelda and I got lost in the woods and I'm just
It's
like
like the
walking
video
in
game
circles.
with no fast travel
Yeah,
option.
it's like exactly.
It's like,
and I'm
dude, I
just
hit
like,
that checkpoint.
oh
Let me
my
just
God.
go back.
It was like a Jason Voorhees 30 for 30 fucking documentary. I don't know. I just it yeah, it wasn't scary at all. And also, this is more of the initial thoughts, but I also like, I think it did pull off a lot of good things, but there were certain, like, I thought, so the sound diegetically was great. Like, the walking in the woods, you could hear it. There was no score. I don't know if you noticed that.
I didn't
There's
know
no
you were gonna
score.
say it, dude.
But the actual, the way they recorded people's audio
Yep.
was trashola.
Really bad.
so
was-
deliberate.
So, but I
It's-
don't need that.
it's just
You're
like them
already,
being out
it's a
of
hat on a
focus.
hat, in my thought. Like, I think that.
Wait,
it's
no,
like,
let Abby explain why,
And
yeah.
I think I do agree that it was intentional.
Give me, like, an example,
But
yeah.
in general, my biggest problem with the whole movie is you're already doing a thing. And then you're also doing these 9 other things, which the 9 other things, like, we're going to have really bad acting. We're going to have bad audio. We're going to have bad camera. We're going to have bad, like, and it's just, like, so much of it that it just, like, didn't let me accept what could have been, I think, a cooler concept. And I still did enjoy parts of it.
So
but
some of the audio was excellent, depending on the proximity to Johnny. So it is
no, that's not what I love. I wish that was how I felt.
What-
There were
like,
Well,
parts.
could I say? Well,
Yeah.
okay, I'll give you one example. So when he's, I don't want to get too into it, but when he's, looking at the girls across the lake, they're on the dock and
Yes.
having a conversation.
Yes.
You're looking at them from his perspective across the lake,
Right.
And they sound like they're right up next to the camera.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It was bad. It was
bad.
literally ADR.
It
was
didn't
just
sound.
bad ADR.
Yeah, it just wasn't.
And the
very-
first scene when they're off camera, you're like, they didn't even try at all to make it sound like these people are outside.
Yeah.
They are just so obviously not outdoors.
it
And also one more, when they're around
Yeah.
when they were around the fire, like there was some like dialogue that just got buried, and I couldn't maybe
And
it was
that,
the
I
mixing.
think,
It just
but I
like
think that might have been on purpose. Like
So-
there,
sure,
I do think they were
that's
doing
fine.
things
But
where-
explaining an origin story, for example, like that there shouldn't be like parts that I can't like.
I thought there was
barely
nothing
hear.
that I couldn't interpret.
we disagree, but also I'm sorry, I misdigressed. Let's step down.
Yeah,
Well,
sit down.
what's your score?
What's your score?
Oh
On
shit
the
ass
Binkymeter.
fuck,
Binkies.
dude.
Abby
Holy
shit-ass.
absolute fuck.
We need a
my
shit-ass
score
button.
is gonna be a 0.9.
I will say by nature, and I think
0.9?
Yeah, that's how scared I was. I was a
Wait,
little
not
scared.
even not even a single.
No,
Binky?
I was a little scared when she was running through the woods at the end.
it's a horror movie only because it is about horror movies. Otherwise, the
Yeah, it's not
POV and
scary.
the storytelling
It takes away the
mechanism
entire concept of
intentionally
scary,
removes any suspense. You know everything that's going to happen, with one exception that's incredibly important, which is a good time now to step creek.
Creek, crack, crook.
That's the
crunk.
opening of the door, and then running down because I'm excited. All right,
I'll follow it in.
Foley.
Axel.
All right, so what we've been doing the last few episodes, and we're still kind of figuring this out, but we would normally walk through certain plot points to carry the conversation about the film, using the plot as a device to create dialogue between us. This movie doesn't really have a plot.
I mean, it has a plot. It's just very simple.
I'm going to tell it to you. Essentially, as Brendan said, we find a locket in the woods, campers. That awakens a, tormented soul, evil slasher Jason Voorhees type who goes on a murderous spree. It's told through his point of view, and eventually, there is a final girl who gets away. So I recommended that we talk about the themes of the movie instead, which will bring us to certain plot
So
points.
film school of us, dude.
Very-
motifs.
very-
We're talking fucking motifs
There's
up in this.
gonna
Start
be
at
at least
themes,
two,
hop on over to
three
motifs, and then we'll stick the landing at the message.
So I know both Abby and I took tons of notes, and it was done in the theater, so it's chronological. So I don't know if there are certain things that you feel like you absolutely must say, but I would like to run through some of mine. I imagine you two
start on something, and we'll all comment on it.
Yeah.
So this is important, pun intended, to frame the conversation. You need to know that this movie was, some would say, told from the point of view of Johnny. I would say told from the point of view that you do not see in a slasher film. I think there's a distinction there, and I'll explain that later. But that does mean that most of it follows over the shoulder of our killer. Gives you a lot of him traveling. but also him leading up to each individual kill without really any characterization of anybody.
Which I thought that was cool. Like that the killer doesn't know everything about the people they're killing in these movies. And I like that perspective switch. I thought that was cool. I don't think that you also have to make all those actors in their limited perspective that we do see be so horrific and recorded horrifically and just trash overall. I don't think you need to do that personally, but that's just
so just the first couple of things that I want to say about that perspective. I'm probably going to glorify it much more than these two from the way that this has started off. But I noticed just all these crazy different ways he does this thing that he's trying to do while paying homage, checking some, like boxes of acknowledgement for the genre. But what I really like, so that they thought the sound was trash. But the opening of the film is dialogue of two characters you can't see. So
cool concept. I like it.
Yeah. And I don't, in terms of how it was recorded, I didn't notice, but I thought it was deliberately away from you. But what was also very cool about that is that scene's backdrop is a frame. A frame in nature where the sound comes from who knows where. It doesn't really matter, but it is also explaining what is happening. So you're getting the narrative driven forward, but establishing literally the frame of the film is going to take place away from what you normally would expect it to.
That's fair. So I have a question, and I don't want to just be a hater, but I mostly will be. But
makes it interesting.
It was trash.
Why couldn't that voice acting be semi-believable?
Well,
do we think that there's a chance that I know he didn't want it to be fucking Oscar shit, but is there a chance that did it need to be that bad? Do you think so?
Wait, hold on. What do you mean when you say voice acting? Do you mean like the dialogue? Or what they're
just
saying?
The dialogue at the beginning. First line, I was like, "Are you fucking?"
Someone that loves slasher movies, like if you watch Friday the 13th, there's some
really
pieces
bad,
of dialogue in that are like, what the fuck? Like Kevin Bacon's character, like there's a storm about to hit, and he's like, "Man, that storm." That's a heck of a storm. It's about to tear down that valley hard. And then it's like, what? So yeah, now if he's making dialogue stupid intentionally, like, wow, I applaud him just to like.
Oh, you think he is?
Yeah, I think it's a combination.
That's what you think? I mean, I don't know, dude. Like,
no, definitely, absolutely. It is supposed to be overage casted teens that are
one of them's 39 years old.
Jokes, cringe jokes
about
idiots
sex
and drugs.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say is, I think definitely the writing was deliberately bad. But I actually think that also the actors doing the bad lines were bad too.
I just think they could have done. I think my main moral of all of my takes on this movie is they could have done it better. I don't disagree with this concept, and I respect it. And I'm learning more about this. Like that's funny. Like that it's an homage for 30 years of these.
Yeah.
But I just think you can do bad better.
Yeah, you can cover all those topics. You can make them appear sexist and rude and whatever. But also make it sound like a conversation real people in the world would be having.
Or like, for example, there's the part way later when they're yelling, when the gas station guy, like before he gets headshot off, and they're yelling like, fill her up. Fill her up. And it was like, okay, wait, that's good. That's stupid.
That's good.
Funny.
I like that. Yeah,
and then they just keep repeating. It's like they couldn't even think of another funny bad thing to say.
Because they realized, whoa, this actually sounds like reality. We gotta say it like 20 times.
We can't say, it's just like no one's even like, fill her up, like buttercup. I don't fucking know.
I agreed. I actually remember when that happened. I was like, all right, now they're getting me. They're pulling me back a little bit on these people.
I do think that there is a component of it just being like hard with these first time slasher films to get or prioritize acting because they know you can get away with it being shit. The Evil Dead remake that I talked about, it's one of the most beautifully disgusting movies you'll ever watch. The gore is incredible. Fede Alvarez is like a genius in my opinion behind the camera, but
it was great.
I think it is some of the worst dialogue and acting I've seen in a horror movie.
Evil Dead Rises?
No, Evil Dead, the remake that spawned.
Oh, I didn't see it.
You haven't seen that?
No. I haven't seen the original.
Oh my god. He's doing Alien Romulus.
Original's dope minus the little tree rape scene.
He also did
yeah, I could see why you'd
you should see the remake, dude. It's He also did Don't.
There's two trees.
There's a bush assault.
He did Don't Breathe, which I really love, but outside outside the budget they were able to spend on the one famous as in has done another movie actor, atrocious acting. So I do think a lot of it is also them just not, like, deliberate or not.
Yeah.
They don't need good actors because
Fair, but you can find good actors if you're a good director.
Fine.
Yeah.
We wanted them dead, so
whatever,
it
it's
all
fine.
worked
Yeah,
out.
that did
Most
work
of them
out.
died, so
It's true. It's
Another-
true.
all of them but the final girl.
another little on the nose, play on the genre from the beginning was, to your point, the gas station head chopping off. Every horror, like Cabin in the Woods type horror film, I mean literally a Cabin in the Woods, not the movie, starts with them going to some ominous location.
Right.
And in this one, he's approaching and, like, again, the sound comes in on these two absolute doofuses who, instead of them being, providing ominous dread, that they're just about to get fucked up. And it's fun to have him creep in to be the first kill of, the dirty, decrepit gas station attendee or whatever that shack was. So I really like that.
No, I agree. I also I just want to say from the very beginning before we pass it, and I think this could be just my fault, but I kept not being sure if this was supernatural. And I realized later, like, it's pretty clear that it was. But I guess what threw me off is at the beginning, for some reason, I thought that the wood that they were showing that the necklace was hanging off of was like a breathing apparatus. And it made me think for
like
a
a
while
pipe.
in the movie that the guy was it was like a killer hiding under leaves and coming out. And so it took me a long time. Maybe this is just me, but maybe a listener agrees, and we can hug. But I didn't realize it was supernatural, and I'm starting to think it was important to have known that early on, to take it a little less seriously, too.
The intro story does tell you that he died 6 years ago.
I know, but I thought that the twist was, but he didn't die. Like, they didn't have proof
and that's
that
why
he died.
was breathing through a pipe underground. Because
Yeah.
I didn't even put that as a pipe. I thought it was like
It was
this
a pipe.
weird phallic.
Yeah, I was wrong
pipe.
about it, clearly. But the point being, I thought there was a good chance that we were going to find out that someone was going to be like, I guess Johnny never died.
It's interesting that you bring that up because a lot of them don't necessarily explain the limitations
Of the killer.
Michael Myers gets shot and does things that should kill any normal man, but they also never establish him, at least in the first
In fact,
two.
they don't
John
even.
Carpenter,
In the first one, they don't imply at all that he'd
they
be
don't,
supernatural.
But he gets shot in the face and doesn't die, and then walks away, and he's like this looming, unkillable.
right, he's really
entity.
fast.
But
even though he
Jason
walks
Voorhees
slow.
is unkillable.
Well,
It's
Jason-
undead zombie.
Because he dies. Do we see him die in
was
that
struck
movie?
by
I haven't
lightning.
seen
He's
it.
not
given
even
magical
in the first
powers.
movie.
Oh, right.
Yeah, well,
right.
he's in that last scene, but yeah,
Yeah.
the most infamous scene ever in the franchise.
But yeah,
Wait, I
also,
thought
so
it was the
he
mom
pops
coming out
out.
of the water
Yeah,
again.
no, it's Jason, dude.
I need to rewatch.
Even I know that. Even I know that. Also, just for the first shot, he pops out of that fucking the leaves. He just starts walking, and I love that it's like this guy. Like, we're seeing the blood squirts out of his body, and we're like, this guy's been through it all, and he's like, it's the definition of like a derelict killer, supernatural. Also dressed like he's going out the Three Diamond Door tonight. The fucking L Trade vintage.
I wore that
flannel on.
outfit.
Yeah, Will was
in my 20s in every Brooklyn
Exactly.
bar.
He's about to go pick up
I
a they
have
them.
that flannel.
Okay.
But keep going. Sorry.
Well, another one of those, like, on the nose when he first gets to the woods. So this is when we have the guy not getting it. He's like, no, run the other way. But for the gas station attendant, just goes directly into the woods to fall down. But after he kills him, there's literally a trail left in the woods, like the blue things that you tie around a hiking trail that leads, to your next presumed victim. Also, you get that car scene that is in every one of these movies of the teens like, let's go on a trip.
Yeah.
Is like a car passing.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, that's who's
that was
going to
cool.
get fucked
I like
up.
that.
So there, a lot of these little things.
They also, I like that the first kill is a redneck that we hate. It's killing the cat. Like, it makes us like the killer because he kills a bad guy. But they don't show that death. It's like a little tease. Like, they don't really show anything gory. I thought that was a cool way to like play
the
with
first kill.
Yeah, to play with the genre.
Yeah, so we already kind of talked about this, but The film fluctuates between being very almost hard to see and grainy and gorgeous, but that correlates directly to, are we following right over his shoulder versus are we having to find out what the teens are talking about a little far away and it's grainy and rough around the edges. I wrote that down as a positive.
Yeah, I liked visually. I liked the way. Yeah, I liked the way it looked. Like
I remember
thought
tapping.
It was beautiful. Yeah, when he's walking through the woods, there were shots that were like, wow, this is, really well done. And super cinematic.
It's sort of hard to fuck up beautiful
nature
shots with a nice 4K
but also
camera,
with the vintage grainy aesthetic, like nodding to the old, the movie, the old slashers. But also, I liked the idea that you have this vintage grainy aesthetic, portraying life in the modern world. It kind of, there's like this contrast, this dissonance that happens when you have like vintage quality film and you have like people on iPhones talking about cancel culture. It brings up almost like a dream like kind of quality to it. Like, and I also just love grainy aesthetic in general, because whenever you have dreams, you don't really remember them as these crisp images. You kind of
Brendan dreams in Grindhouse.
No, yeah, well, yeah, you know what I mean. Like
whatever,
they're never like crisp, or they're kind of like, they're not.
I did tap you at one point, Abby, and I was like, wait, this is beautiful. And there's towards the end of, he is literally walking off into the sunset, and it's like a flowery field. You just brought it up. This one was weird to me. They make a point, two things. One, Johnny, like Jason, was disabled mentally.
Yeah, we're making a decision right now. We're not using the word on this podcast.
What?
They won't call him retarded, but they make a whole point about not saying that word, so that's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
So you guys know. But
they called him slow.
So that was one thing that they made a whole big deal about. Oh, you can't say it, but that's what he was. And two, that Johnny's dad was, quote, an evil capitalist. So there was this weird, like,
what was the evil?
I don't remember that
part.
Maybe that was one of the
Johnny's
audio
father
clips that I couldn't hear.
Was an evil capitalist who took over the town. He kind of monopolized.
Oh, right, the
work.
shop. He ran the shop and he overpriced all the goods
He
for
fucked
the
everybody over.
What?
Yeah. He opened up a shop for all like the lumber yard people, the forest.
I missed this.
So what I thought was
I was
this
probably
totally
getting nauseous from the camera spinning around them 49 times.
Okay, I got something else about that. But what threw me for a loop there was like this thing that is like, all right, we're gonna objectively approach the slasher film from this new angle, right? With all these tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
They were like, but let's shoehorn the fact that the kids are like, that they're politically correct.
They're modern.
And I thought, why? Usually, you're kind of, the kids are shitty and like.
So the idea is that, well, the kids were shitty also.
Yeah,
the kids were trash.
But wait, so the idea is that the kid was bullied, then the dad came to confront the other dads, and the dad was killed, and then everyone was mysteriously massacred. I did not know that the backstory was the dad that was confronting all the townspeople was also their boss and sort of ruining the town in its own way.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, I also don't think
It's
that.
a story about Baron Trump. Dude.
Oh, nipples.
6'7", that's tall.
So I will say that
2043.
talking about the whole camera thing.
It's not even an even number. That's
I know. That's because Trump's going to change it. Changes it. Only on the 43rd. Fuck, I can't talk. Only on the 43rd year of every millennia, dude.
Does my son get to run?
So most of the dialogue takes place off screen, and you can't, or not. It's far away or weird. But the exception, the very long exception, was them sitting around the campfire telling the story, the origin story of Johnny, mostly from one guy, and it is nonstop, and the camera literally does circles around them. So the one time, it is literally like.
Are we still on the campfire,
I just
dude?
thought of a take on that. I just thought of a take on that. Is the idea that Johnny's, because he's slow, he's just walking in circles in the woods.
I just acted it out and I realized
I wrote, all dialogue is off screen or out of focus until the campfire, which took, quote, around the campfire to a new level by letting you know what the slasher killer and plot, quote, revolves around. Like, it was very
shit, dude.
tongue-in-cheek.
You've been listening to some. You've been cracking some film books, baby.
That's from the Willie Dome.
But I'm definitely going with my take that Johnny, who's a bit of a little boy at heart, is just walking in circles around them nonstop because he's bored.
And he's nodding when he's like, that's cancel culture. He's like, yes. So like the slasher movie tropes demand like the final girl, right? There's usually the final girl that is different from the bunch, that maybe has some
Melanin.
Yeah, right. I couldn't put my finger on it. In this movie, she's black, and she stands out. Usually, she's a little more virtuous. She's smarter. She's more curious. She's usually a little more innocent.
Normie,
she's not calling people retards. And so immediately we kind of, and she doesn't say much, and I can't remember her name.
Do we know that about her, or are you saying that we don't know that about her?
I'm saying the final girl trope in slasher movies. These are all qualities that the final girl
and
possesses.
we sort of fall into her being that. And I do agree. I think that's a great point that you guys are both making. Like, that was good writing, directing, because that was like, I sort of just assumed that, but you're right. We didn't actually learn much about her that made her anyone special, but she was a little more caring.
She does go to Troy
she's a little more caring.
Because Troy's like, I want him out of here. He's bringing on the vibes. He's like, real nice, Troy.
So I do want to. This is skipping a lot of parts.
And I go,
but
that's so virtuous.
I have a very important interpretation of the ending.
Oh, is it very important?
Well, I mean, if we're already here,
go.
I don't want my thunder stolen. So this is going to cement my theory about the movie is not his perspective. It is the other perspective, right? So there's a very, very deliberate POV at the end of the movie to her, who we know nothing about. But now the point of view is over her shoulder as she runs away from Johnny. And we have no reason to want her to survive, really. The movie...
it's weird to not.
At this point...
Will's like, I see an innocent girl running, I want her dead.
Now, if she was a white final
The point
girl
is,
trope.
half of the fun of the movie, however sadistic, is the build-up to each next kill.
Sure.
The satisfaction of
I wanted her
Johnny.
to live, for the record. And that was the only part I was scared of.
So that's... I made that comment at the beginning. So it follows her and they drag it out. You thought the walking of him got dragged out. It goes on for a long time. And then she gets in a car. Mm-hmm. And then that goes on for so long. And you have
I almost fell asleep. I'm not
joking.
You
have this creepy old lady giving the world's longest, worst monologue.
Horrible.
No payoff.
But
zero.
That is the thing. The whole time you're like, oh, this buildup is insane. Something fucking horrible is it keeps getting more and more tense.
Yeah, I didn't really get that tense, but it was.
I found it tense.
Okay.
It was very tense, and then there's a noose, literally a noose hanging.
On there,
And
really, really good luck charm. What happened to the old dice, guys? Come on.
And then
put a noose on your rearview mirror.
Yeah.
So the whole time, what you're feeling is like her being like, "What is she connected to him?"
Right.
Like all these
you're
things
assuming
are
that she
flying
is.
through your head.
And also, not to cut you off, but to your point, like if you think of Friday the 13th, Mama Voorhees, we're thinking, ooh, a lot of similarities. Maybe this is
exactly.
She has some relation.
So eventually they pull over, and you're like, oh, fuck, shouldn't have done that.
They're done. And she says that, too. She's reflecting the audience. She's like, we got to go.
And the woman gets out, comes around, helps her with her leg, gets back in, and talks some more. And eventually it goes to the credits. So
we cut to see that the necklace was taken off the gasoline canister.
Yeah, we cut to a lot of just like empty landscapes.
So the killer got the happy ending and then he got his locket back. But this is the important thing, I think, for me is what you never see in the slasher movie. Think about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The moment the film ends, at the very end, is her getting on the back of the pickup truck, right?
Yeah.
With the chainsaw. Mm-hmm. And she gets away. Safety. It is either that or they die. But usually the movie ends, I'm thinking of The Descent, her getting in the car. It ends with the moment of safety, either happy ending or bad.
And there's a button that like
and then
maybe
they say, hey, we're making 14 more of these.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but what they never talk about is what is going to be lifelong, persistent anxiety that you're always going to be in danger.
This is where,
but even if it's not lifelong, it is definitely going to remain for at least that entire drive to the hospital.
At least the drive.
Yeah, at least that drive. You're going to be
like,
you're going to be like, whoa, that was wacky.
These
that was
final
a crazy
girls
day.
that survive, and I'm like, dude, all right, somebody got raped.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
No, for sure.
I think sorry, go ahead, Abby.
I think that is a great fucking point. This goes with so many feelings about this movie. That is a great fucking point another movie should make that point. Not the movie that's also like, oh, and we're doing a weird perspective from the third person. Also the movie that's doing the like, we're playing on the old things where everyone's a bad actor and a bad audio. And like, I just think I agree that I thought that was a cool play, but it was already doing. I remember I had a screenwriting professor. I always say this, and it's not always true, but he said like, one weird thing is weird. Two weird things, nothing's weird. And I feel like
this is one weird thing.
This became the second weird thing.
Three things are weird. So, you got a podcast.
Things are weird. It's your fault. That's good. Shame on me. But that's my problem. I think that's a cool thing to play with a normal slasher, like Thanksgiving or something does that. But for this to do, now Thanksgiving's not a bad example because that's too tongue in cheek.
No, but there have been other like big build up, no payoff endings.
Yeah, I respect it more in a different movie. I wanted some payoff,
But again, it's not about him. It is about what you don't see.
No, that's a good take.
Everything that happens in the movie is what you would normally see is the shitty exposition of them partying at the house. What happens before the campfire? The first person running away instead of you watching them meet.
No,
at a
the
location.
car example is such a good one, where it's just like, why the fuck are we're always cutting to them in the car doing bullshit, whereas this was just like a car driving real fast, and it did the same thing.
If
we're
you
like,
think about, I guarantee if you watch it again and think of it less about his perspective and more about just the thing that you wouldn't be focused on, it's usually going to be him having to get to the next place.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But in general, there's
which is really hard for him considering he walks at 1 miles per hour. Like that's another thing that I want to talk about: the slow walking, the slow stock. It's like. Anyway, but I don't want to get off topic because what you're saying I agree with. Like that shot where the car finally pulls up to her, and there's the camera dollies in and it comes around to her as she's getting into the car. You actually almost think that is the point of view of
the
Johnny.
killer, right?
But she turns around as if something is there, and she acknowledges that something is there, and I think she is acknowledging that constant fear that she's going to have for the rest of his life. Her life.
She is scared
PTSD,
of bears.
Yeah, and it's also cemented. It's also
That's
cemented in the shot where, as she's putting the dressing on her wound, she's like mesmerized out into the woods,
right, where nothing's actually happening.
And then we go in her point of view, and we're almost trying to look into the woods as if like, am I seeing something?
Create
are my eyes
movements that aren't there?
Are my eyes playing tricks on me? And that also cements the fact that she's going to be looking for him for the rest of her, the rest of her life.
I feel like it's not
powerful.
subtle, but it does not deviate from that formula. So I feel like you're saying there's one weird thing. I'm saying if you really take a step back, it is fully committed, for better or worse.
But that's where I disagree with the ending part, because I think that my other faults of it could be thrown into. I think you have a very strong argument against my complaints about acting or sound, because it's going into, this is how Friday the 13th was, and we are playing it from this different perspective. I love your take too, that the different perspective is not as simple as just of Jason, it's of the other. But that is not, I don't think, the same movie where then you make a whole new, unique play on the concepts of anxiety and how they follow you in PTSD. Like, that's really cool. I just don't think that's the time. But then again, it's really hard to wrap up horror movies. We always talk about it. So what do I want? However, Friday the 13th, do I want it to end with like him peeking? Probably not either. But I do feel like that would have matched a little bit.
So I'm going to make two last points about this, and then I'm going to ring off some parts of the movie that I want to hear you guys talk about. One is, no matter what, these slashers end with chasing the final girl. So if you just show the part that you don't see of that, either her getting killed or getting away, this is what you see. So I still think it checks out.
Okay.
The other thing, and I think this is the ultimate example for like the stuff in the middle. I hate to bring this up again, but so there's all these things of voyeurism and him watching. And what do you think in any slasher film is going to happen is teenagers are going to fuck, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we definitely know you think and want that in every movie that we see.
But hold on. This is like one of the most popular common
right on time.
Common tropes is if you have sex, if you're corrupted and now you must die.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, all of the horror movies, when they're having sex, the killer's not watching them have sex. They have sex, and then now they're contaminated, and they have to die later. So the reason you never see them have sex is because we're watching the movie that doesn't follow the people.
We literally see the scene where she's in the bra. that's
Yeah,
playing
but that
to
was
it.
the closest it got.
And then she shuts the shade and nothing actually happens, which again I thought was cool because that's realistic.
The voyeurism is limited to when he's around and about to kill people, but really they probably did have sex and we just wouldn't have seen it because that we're seeing everything that you don't see.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that kind of was another thing that really it's on the nose for its omission.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Like I didn't really. I understand what you're saying because you need that element in these slasher movies.
Checked all the other boxes
Yeah,
in
but
some direction.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think this was checking the box by omission.
Yeah.
Because
It's fair. It's fair.
it's fair.
Yeah.
the sex never is seen by the killer.
agree.
Yeah.
They just kill them because of it.
It just reminds me again. I'll stop saying this, but I want to see this movie well done. Like I think this served its own.
Yeah,
purpose.
I had high hopes for
my
it.
rankings are not going to be like this is a 0. Like I had fun, but I want to see a version of this that does what you're saying, Will, to a T. Like an artistic, good acting way of seeing what a senseless murderer's journey would be. That's not also contaminated by just the horrible acting and also playing on old tropes and all this.
There are other movies that are like
I'm sure.
the serial killer is the main character. They're just usually like it's more
So-
like humanizing.
Yeah,
the-
right. I'm not looking for that either.
Henry.
Well, they try to humanize him with the car. Like, so let's talk about like some of the kills and stuff,
Yeah.
and,
So-
and let's
so-
get into like the.
The first kill we talked about.
Yeah. So then there's that. He goes out for the bathroom. Goes to take a shit. He's rocking the cassette player,
Smoking a bogue, I guess.
or,
Or a
and
doobie.
brings a bowl. Yeah, he brings a bowl to smoke while taking a shit in the woods. Which I was like, I mean, as someone that smokes weed way too much, that is even a lot for me. It's like you got a cabin. Do you really need to hit the bowl while you're shitting?
That's also an unrealistic part of the movie.
I used to smoke bogues while I took dumps in
Well,
college.
bogues are different, but
They also help kind of loosen the.
okay, that's a fair argument.
Yeah.
Fair argument.
They're like it's like a pipe cleaner.
I also love how the
That's
gas
a horror
station.
movie, dude. That's a horror movie itself.
Yeah. The gas. Will taking a shit as
So
Oscar
yeah, he
level.
gets his face bifurcated via the jaw.
what word?
Damn, son.
Like cut in half.
Dr. Dobbs over here.
Which that's not how it's supposed to be used, but it's a fun word.
Oh, I thought you meant like the sheath or whatever like tool he had in his hand. He's like, you are not supposed to use that weapon to cut someone's face in half.
But what's funny about that, and I'd like to hear what you guys thought, is for
Bifurcation,
no reason.
all I ever wanted. Bifurcation had to get
dream
away.
about fun.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers. Get it? What I want to know, because I haven't figured this one out, is he drags him to the ranger station all the way there, really just to throw him into the case where he gets his
New skin unlocked.
his mask and
He's
his.
like, damn, I want that.
So he
mask
gets
on
the
me
mask.
now. He was looking at that mask like he was like someone looks at like a freaking beautiful piece of sandwich.
Well, the
But actually, what they were doing was it was a toy. It was because he's a little kid at heart, and so I feel like he was looking at it like a kid outside of a toy store or candy shop.
But also he's having like the flashbacks of remember when
fire.
this mask was put on me after being hurled out of a fire tower.
So I may be giving it too much credit, but like. Jason, it's a big deal when he gets the machete, when he gets a mask. Everybody wants to see how it happens.
Sure.
Literally, they explain it because it is in a museum shrine with literal captions. A mining mask, a hook, and it's like, okay, we got the
like
origin
firefighting
story.
uniform.
Written
things.
out. Like,
it's like
it was, but also like, what is the implication of Ranger Museum?
So this is what I thought from that because I was thinking the same thing, but I thought this was actually a cool take where it's like in the normal slasher movie, like. Sometimes it seems as though the slasher is rubbing it in the face of the cops or something, or like that something is like what we wouldn't have seen that, but what we would have had is the wake up in the morning moment. We would have had the like ranger shows because the ranger in these trope movies is more of a main character. We would have known this ranger, would have known he's like got a cool wife,
and
he's
just
like
shows up.
and then he would show up in the morning, and this would happen, and he'd be like, "Oh my god!" So I thought that was cool to show like how it could have happened behind the scenes, and it would have happened again without much intention because this kid is off the rocker.
Interesting. That makes perfect sense because there's usually this on-screen whodunit mystery unfolding. Why is this killing happen? And then literally he delivered. He's here. You go. It's me, the guy that
I'm awake.
tormented you 50 years ago.
And I'm not smart. I'm just doing the thing. I just know 3 places. So
you don't need to figure it out.
I agree.
It is a good point because they never the ranger was the most important person, arguably.
Right, we don't know him.
Yeah, and you never saw
don't
him
see his
until
face.
the scene that.
And before we get there, the last thing I'll say is I think we can all agree though the fucking cassette player getting fucked up and playing. So there's no score in this movie, but the closest thing is when that cassette player's playing in slow motion as he drags the fucking head over there. Was
I don't.
really
Was
cool.
that non-diegetic?
Yeah,
or,
no, that was diegetic. That was supposed to be in his
everything.
pocket.
Everything is
Okay.
diegetic.
Because they showed a close-up where the headphone jack pulls out. So I guess on those old cassette players,
It
when
got
there's no
louder.
headphone
Yeah, I
jack,
was
it plays out
wondering
a
that.
little speaker in it.
Right.
So
how would it slow down? I go, because the
Because it was
Yeah, you
damn
could
tape.
literally
I mean,
play
it'd be
on the.
unlikely.
Can we all agree that the practical effects in this movie were really well done? Like I
yeah.
thought, like
Oh.
the wood splitter with
Yeah.
the park ranger, like
yeah.
that was pretty.
That's the one.
No,
What
'cause
about
his
the
head-
yoga kill, dude. That's
No,
Oh, yeah.
well, I said I liked all of them. I said practical
yeah.
effects in
You know-
general. Yeah, we can talk
But
about
the
the yoga.
yoga is like-
But let's talk about the first
So,
one, the
real quick,
bifurcation.
the
I thought that
bifurcation-
was like, ooh, that was
That
good.
was so cool. No cap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So he drags his body. New skin unlocked. Okay. Then what's next?
So he drowns the girl on the way to the yoga kill, which
Oh yeah, he pulls a David
Okay,
Blaine.
let's talk
where
this.
he
Let's
gets
talk about this. Let's talk
underwater
about
for
this.
9
I
minutes.
was laughing really hard at
well,
this.
when he walked into
I
the
was
water,
just picturing him.
That was
and
like my second or third. Like I was like, this is funny.
Yeah, I was just picturing him at the bottom of the lake, just like walking slowly.
100%
There's
fish
like
swimming
bass
by.
and like a fucking perch, like just seeing this guy in a big like, and then I was like, how fast is it going to be? Because he doesn't walk that fast, and also
now
he's
it's even
walking on the
slower.
bottom of a lake. Is this going to be a long ass shot? But I did what. But then after a little bit, when you're waiting. Like it holds on that shot for a while. You're like, "Ooh, this actually is kind of cool." Because I wonder how they're gonna show this.
I
Pretty
really
sure
want to
that
know.
happens in one of the Friday the 13th movies.
Really?
where
He
you
walks?
see Jason like walking underwater.
I've only
it
seen
might
the
have been
first couple.
Might have been Freddy
Well, yeah,
versus Jason.
Also, once it gets to like Jason 92, it's like who
Jason in
fucking knows?
space. It goes to space
Yeah,
at one point.
I heard
Jason
Yeah.
X is
I wanna
my
watch that.
favorite one,
Yeah.
and I think we should do it.
This is again. I fucked up. I really hope somebody listens to this and tells me if I'm the only one that experienced this. I was still thinking he has to come up for air because I still didn't realize he was supernatural, and I thought he was just a twisted kid. Yeah, I was stupid, but either way, he came out. He does that. Then we get to the kill of the movie.
Yeah, the yoga kill is. Going in, heard that this movie is going to show you one of the most creative and
It was
over
like
the top.
Salvador Dali of murdering
Well, I
people.
think that was the point for some of the less quick to the party audience members, where they started like laughing,
Right,
and
right.
Yeah.
groaning, and like being like, "Okay, this is."
Well, that was
hilarious.
me too, because I still was a little confused at what I was supposed to like about it, and that was I liked I liked a few of the kills before it, but that was really.
He was like a jazz musician. Like she turns around and he's like, okay, the hook's through her now. Oh, take the hook, put it on her head, pull this, and then the hook should pull her head back through her abdomen. This is gonna be good.
It's crazy. It was,
Yeah, it was
so
insane.
good. Yeah, she,
Yeah,
she was
I
really
Yeah, I was smiling. I was chuckling at
I'm
that.
like
and you're
digging
supposed to.
for like what is this the symbolism of the head being torn through the bowels, but I think it's just
Yeah.
It's the new yoga move.
it's fan service for the anyway.
And then he tosses her body. That was one of my favorite parts. He tosses her body in that beautiful sandy thing. And I turned to Will. I was like, that probably took so many takes where they're throwing this fake body down the hill and it just has to roll perfectly. Like, and the sound is so subtle and it's just like, oh, it's
and
great.
it stops. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it
go
doesn't
that
go
far.
all the way.
It's probably what would have happened.
It really felt like he was such a little kid. He was a disgusting, horrific being, but it was just like such a little kid thing. Like, I'm done with this toy.
But that's the body disposal.
Yeah.
It never gets.
So we did. Yeah, we did. So we did bifurcation. We did the
yoga,
lake scene. We
lake.
did yoga.
So then he like kills the guy with the rock. He goes like fucking straight up
That's-
Gallagher on him like it's a
that's
watermelon.
later.
It's
There's
later.
one-
Yeah, the next one is the. What is the next kill?
So there is a beat that's important that's not about the kills. You
okay.
see his face, which is the
the car, yeah,
a big
teaching.
decision to make is do you show the
I
killer's
know.
face?
And that still didn't even prove to
it
me
was a
that
bad one.
well, yeah, he wasn't. Yeah,
It wasn't hot.
And then
dude.
he was playing with his little toy car, and again, that would be a moment where he took a break. He needed to catch some air.
That's when you realize, the real trick, the ranger should have been out there just bringing like an FAO Schwartz to the woods. And this
know.
kid would have been fucking fine.
But a lot of the
get him a
slasher,
slinky.
Yeah.
the slasher movies, it's a big decision whether or not you want to show the face. Michael, you never see it. Friday the 13th, you see it a couple of times in the entire
Texas
series.
Chainsaw.
But there's no way to not see it, if you have to spend every single second that's not with the teenagers with him, but it was interesting. And the car.
Yeah, and they were tempting to kind of make him like, oh, he's
a little cute.
Yeah, he has. Well, he has like the soft side, and he's just a kid at heart, and all this stuff, which like they kind of did in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like they kind of gave Leatherface more of a personality, whereas like Jason and Michael Myers don't really have. They're not as dynamic as.
Yeah.
Anyway, I enjoyed the attempt, but to me, it's like if you're gonna do that, maybe take a little further or don't do it at all.
That's
See, I
fair.
don't think that it gave him more. I think that it established him as a simpleton.
But that's the point. It's like, then why
that.
do it?
Yeah, we already know he is.
But also,
But also, he wasn't a simpleton. Remember, he took
kind
the
of people
the
with
log?
low IQs tend to be happy and have a lot of fun, and that's what he was doing. The
But
whole
also,
movie,
he's like a
killing
genius
makes
at killing people. He took that log and made the car honk, like pressing it against the seat.
Yeah.
I
It's
wrote
like-
down object
Yeah.
permanence because up until that moment, you had no reason to believe he had any awareness whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yes, object
Yeah, so
permanence.
he was like kind of
Maybe he's
smart and
growing in
sly
front
and
of
stuff.
us.
whoa, with each kill
He's
he
aging.
learns.
Yeah.
What's going on?
He's like
How
my
old
cat.
is he? He's technically like
6.
90.
Well, no, didn't he say he died 10 years ago? It wasn't
No.
6 years. He's like, I
No,
put you in the
his
ground
first
10 years ago.
rampage was 10 years after he was killed. This was his second rampage.
But now I like. We got to move on. But I like
Yeah,
the
we gotta
theory.
roll.
I like the theory that he died when he was like 6, and he stayed at 6. Then he woke back up. Every time he's alive in the rampage, he ages. But then underground, he doesn't age. So now he's like slowly. He's like 9 by the end of this movie.
It's like growing
Oh
underground.
my god, the sequel. He's gonna get a puberty, start jerking it. Okay, so then the guy's killed with the rock. Fucking Gallagher. His head.
Definition of overkill. And
Yeah.
it's actually off screen that he's.
That was good. Well, before that, I got to say this: when he hits that dude, when Johnny hits the guy with the axe,
he throws that mean four
yeah,
seamer.
and then his friend in the back shoots Johnny. The friend goes up to the other guy who's now on the ground, just sustained a knife axe. When he goes, "Yo, are you okay?" And it's like, it's like the dude Johnny is laying there just like this. And
you just shot a man in a fire mask that's murdered all your
You
friends.
just saw this
You saw
guy
him get
trying to
stabbed.
kill your friend.
Yeah.
You shot him. He's now dead. Your friend's dying.
Bro,
And you're
you
like,
all right?
Are you okay, dude? Nah, he's good. Don't worry about it. Let me just tie your leg up.
Also, that wasn't the overkill kill. That was
No,
just the
it
rock
wasn't.
kill.
Yeah.
But that he's laying down there, and it's shot the way that Michael's shot at the end of Halloween, where he's out of focus and the room is in focus. In this case, it's them, and I 100% was expecting that Michael, the way he rises
Right.
up,
Oh, yeah.
that iconic scene, and then they just leave, and he just gets up.
But that didn't happen.
And I was like, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I thought it was fun. Okay, so then he gets the Ranger. Then he does the Rangers. I love
Second
this.
best
I
one.
love that he lets the hand get cut off first. And me and Will both had the same thought, like he's going to go both hands and then both legs or something like more. But no, he's just a fucking kid. And he's like, I want to see what it does with the
Object
hand. And then he's
permanent.
like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Now let's do the neck.
I thought he was going to go long way. I thought he was going to go down
that's
the
what
middle,
Will
dude.
said also.
That's what I thought. That's what I was
a
expecting.
bifurcation
Yeah.
right there.
But
But the
instead
other
of
guy just had
bifurcations.
his face bifurcated.
But
But
yeah.
he was bifurcaced.
That was great. And then he did then they did
No.
the rack focus.
Erase, delete.
Yeah, no.
They did the rack focus, the hack focus, where it
Ooh,
was
nice.
literally like focused in on as the head chopped off. That was
Yeah.
great. Then he has the endless beating where he beats the head for literally like 10 minutes. Like,
Oh, and this was another scene where I'm like, oh my god, dude. So we're it's the final girl and the other. I guess I didn't really understand the relationship between her and this other guy, but there was some like
they were like
thing
a
that was
past
established.
thing.
Yeah, but they're in the woods, kind of trying to stalk up to now Johnny with a gas can and like a animal trap and. Like you can tell Johnny, he can tell that there's something behind him, and then you hear them in the woods. Oh my god, I think he can hear us.
No, yeah.
that was hilarious.
They're like, no, but hold on, let me finish. They're like,
So
I think they
funny.
can hear us. Then she literally goes, I think they can hear us. I think he knows our entire plan. I think that, and it's like, what the fuck? Yeah, it was supposed to be funny.
So they literally lay out the plan, and then the next line is, "He sees us, keep quiet." And then, it was very funny. And as soon as they go to initiate, he gets killed. Like,
and that was so good. He tries to scare him and just gets smashed. No lead up, just pure
that's when
death.
the guy, the flamboyant.
Made a funny.
Yeah,
he made a good funny. He made the whole theater laugh. Me and Will were jealous.
you ugly bastard.
It wasn't even that funny. It was just well timed.
It was good.
I know. I give him credit. Shout out. To
and then that's the head that he beats forever. That's how she gets away.
That's when the perspective shifts.
Yeah.
He got too preoccupied.
Yeah. You're right. And then she gets away. And then honestly, we sort of talked about it then. After that, she runs away forever. We get to the old
But I will
lady.
say, remember when she falls and then she has the twig?
Yeah.
That was a weird transition.
Well, that's
was
the first time that you think that she's fucked.
Right. But it was weird
No,
that it
but, like,
wasn't. I thought it would have been Bear Trap. Why was it not a Bear Trap from the beginning?
Yeah, and also, why does it go from dark to light and she's still going?
Yeah, because she like
Like it
passed
just
out.
had
I guess is the
happened.
idea.
Oh,
And the
maybe.
night passed.
That
but
was
I
a
agree.
weird- that was a weird
they
edit.
did a
Yeah.
bad job there a
Yeah.
little bit. But either way, the point was made. She runs away. We get to the end, and then we talked about the end already. So
Yeah, beautiful movie.
plot. Beautiful
But
movie.
there was, there were issues with it. But overall, I enjoyed myself.
Okay. All right. So now what's next, Will?
So now's the part of the show where we do Rotten Tomato, where Abby and Brendan estimate the tomato meter for the film. Both-
Teacher, I have a confession. I saw the answers.
Okay. Well, Brendan also saw the.
I only saw one of the answers, mister. And I can actually still qualify to give the other half of the answer if you look it up.
I am gonna say Rotten Tomatoes is now like entrenched. It's in. They put it on the.
I know, that's
streaming
how
app.
I saw it. I
It's
tried
gonna
to
be-
Google
That shit
fucking...
trash.
It's going to
Wait,
be
the thing-
very hard to avoid them, but Brendan,
You can't avoid them, dude.
Brendan and Abby know the critic score is 81%. Abby
I
knows.
thought it was 82. The critic score.
Damn, dude.
Changing, dude.
It changed already?
You probably.
That must have been from my review.
Yeah, I was gonna
actually
say.
do know the audience score. Huh?
So critics is 81%. Abby already knows. Brendan, you want to take a shot at the audience
I'm
score?
going to take a stab. I'm going to, see, my initial thought was that the audience score was going to be lower.
I've never felt so powerful, Will. This is how you feel every episode, dude? I feel...
It's actually really exciting usually, but
So my initial thought was the audience score was going to be lower, but based on your viewing experience at the movie theater, it sounded like you guys were having a rip roaring good time. That being said, I'm still going to go lower. I'm going to say 68.
Good
you
guess.
got to also think pretty much anybody that goes to see a movie at the Alamo really is like
Yeah,
a movie
nerds.
person.
Yeah, true.
Myself included.
So
Dude, don't
the
sleep on the
audience-
Clifton Commons, all right, buddy?
So the
But
audience.
no, but think about those people behind you. They were like, I don't get it. What do you think they fucking rated
Is
it?
this even popcorn? I can understand. They were probably. I don't give a fuck about them.
So the audience score is 43%, which is one of the largest discrepancies I've
Yeah.
ever seen.
That makes
and pretty
sense.
much everybody is like, I had such high hopes, and
Yeah.
it's just a movie about a guy walking, which, I get it.
God,
audience,
the hipster in me is now mad that I agree with them.
well, the audience score
Yeah.
is almost always lower for critically acclaimed horror films. Almost always. And usually, I mean, not
43
usually.
is really low.
It's
though.
always like there's the mix of the I didn't get it people or the just the
It's
people
overrated.
True.
Yeah, or just like the critics don't know what they're talking about anymore,
Yeah.
and like every word is misspelled. I'm like, they're
Right.
right, yeah, okay. So now, because these guys can't guess anymore, I'm gonna out on a whim. We're gonna do a new segment called I Am Debate.
No, dude, what?
Yeah, you like that shit?
My head's about to explode on screen.
Now
I am
IMDb
about to debate
also-
this concept.
also there's a bifurcation of
Dude, if you say bifurcation one more time, we're gonna have
I'm gonna
some
go bifurcation.
problems. You're about to go bye into somewhere bad.
So
very,
IMDb
very bad.
The bad room.
Lisa would swear by it as having more intelligent. It's still user submissions.
What happened to Metacritic? That's still around?
So that was what I was going to say. Metacritic is now what IMDb complements their score with.
I'm the B.
So there's the IMDb score, which is users, but I feel like they audit it a little bit. I don't
They
know.
bifurcate it.
And then the meta score, which I haven't come up with a pun for yet. All right, guys, what do you think? I have the power yet again.
What is it out of?
The out of
10?
10 for IMDb?
Wait, I
isn't
apologize. I
IMDb
tuned out. Who's
isn't-
giving the reviews for
we're guessing.
IMDb? It's like a combination of both critics and regular
No, I
people.
think it's just users, but I believe that they audit. their
IMDb is
reviews.
always low.
Right? It's always low. Like a
it's
good
always
movie's like
low.
above 7,
You,
right?
you
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
find
Barometer.
anything over 9.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like I don't know, 5.4.
I'm going to say 6.5.
Abby's closer at 6.3.
So that means it's critics more than audience. I
No,
guess.
no, it's
Yeah, because
it's almost
6.3
all-
is equivalent to like an 80 on Rotten
yeah, but
Tomatoes,
they
or
also
like a
have
75.
way more people use IMDb. It's the international
It's
movie
smarter
to go.
people.
Yeah, smarter people.
Fandango's 43%, right?
Thunderbolts and lightning.
Damn.
Very, very frightening. No, that Fandango just shows Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm not a fan of that. All right, meta score. Meta.
No, let's
Yo,
go.
let's get
move
the
just
fuck off this segment.
Yeah,
now,
we did the
dude.
IMDb. We're
It's
good.
71. All right, now let's give our own scores. I'm gonna give it 8.1 downward dogs through the stomach. I don't know.
8.1.
What was the last movie we saw?
High. That's pretty high.
The First Omen. that was in the 6s for me.
First Omen, yeah.
But I would put this. I feel like I liked it even more than
I think
Thanksgiving.
I gave that like an 8.2 for First Omen.
And I gave Thanksgiving a high score.
I like the First Omen in retrospect.
Yeah, that was good.
You love Thanksgiving. You're a fucking Thanksgiving head.
This movie
Dude, you
was
ate it
such.
up like
I
cranberry
liked it.
sauce.
I loved. It's like me, when I'm watching with a notepad and I'm like, get all the Easter eggs. It's so much fun for me.
Deviled Easter eggs.
All right, Abby, do it up for you. Do it up for
Okay,
us.
this movie, I'm going to give it 5.6 little toy truckers with some bloody wheels that I smashed because I want my mommy's locket back, please. Thank you.
I was going to say Mommy Locket. I like that. I'm going to give it a 7.3. Oh, I meant to say 6.3.
No, you didn't.
Time out. I'm going to start over.
No, you just want to change it.
You changed yours.
Yeah, that's true.
Fucking asshole, dude. I'm going to give it again. I'm going to give it again, give it again now. 6.8. And that's going to be easy when you think about this. 6.8 fires.
Mentally
6.8
disabled.
fire towers. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
FTs.
We love to have fun here.
We love to have fun here.
We love to talk about movies.
We love to talk about movies.
We bifurcate, we populate, subscribe, hit that like, hit that notification bell.
John and Kate +8.
You
Pick a
already
date.
know what to do. Thanks for coming on, my babies.
Money season.
you.
LaCroix's out. We didn't drink at all this episode. Crazy. Bye.
Coca-Cola. Bye.
2 men and a baby. Oh yeah. 2 men